Hello, everybody. We've got a crazy new background. No, it's actually this whole show is gonna be just shit because not your topics. You're gonna be amazing. I'm joined by the always amazing Eleanor Goldfield. She's gonna be always amazing and make occasional farting noises. But I did this thing. It's kind of a strategic thing I do once every 4 years. Is dump a full glass of water onto my laptop and fried it completely. So there's been a lot of complications, tech and the such. And anyway,
so now you have comments on your face.
So now we've got a New York subway background behind us because that's basically how I'm feeling.
Well, this is just a glimpse of what our new bunkers will look like when we're all living underground.
Yes.
We will not have shiny and nice bunkers. We will have whatever the hell that is.
But thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome to Common Censored, and it's good to be back. For those of you who don't know, I was gone for a week.
We're going to show you a clip.
We're going to show you. We're going to show you a clip from my debate in China, in the Beijing, as they call it, as no one calls it. But all right, we got a lot to cover. Let's get to it.
Yeah, let's. So I know Leaf feels very uncomfortable.
I'm also on the wrong side.
Yeah, see, I told you it wasn't going to let me because it wasn't going to let me share the screen.
Now it won't let you do it.
Uh-huh. I wonder if I can do this. No, well, I can, but what the hell good does that do me? I'm trying to share screen.
Try it again.
For people who are unaware.
There, allow.
I did. But because you had initially clicked don't allow.
Okay, we don't need to do the blame game at the moment.
For those wondering, I'm trying to share the screen and it's not working.
Do we have to refresh?
Yes.
Okay, do it. Hit refresh. We'll be back in 1 second.
Working on it. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us, see us? Everyone? Okay, it's still not working. Okay.
Wait, legit? We can never share anything ever again?
Well, it seems to be some kind of issue with this, either this browser or...
I don't understand. All right, just start talking about topics.
But you know what, Lee? The most important thing is that people can sit with us and be with us. So I think that that's really the most important
I am
thing.
so
He's having a rough couple of days, everybody. So
just start talking.
Well, I can't because I need to see the screen that I need to look at. So
why would this not work?
I don't know. Thanks everybody for sticking with us through this. Lee's gonna take some.
I'm gonna go set some shit on fire. All right. Well, let's just talk then.
Okay. I wonder if I can do it. No, I can't do it that way. Okay. I wonder if I could try to put it up on the screen behind me. That would be
let's not try and do that. All right, we're gonna be back in 1 more second.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna cut out a StreamYard, open it in a new tab, and see if it connects and see if it allows us to. We'll be back in a second, but everybody. Hello, everybody. Nope. Okay, let's go. Fuck it, do it live, as Delzoid said.
Okay, so we're just gonna. I'll let you know where you can find these stories, but we're just going to share them with you by word of mouth, like old school.
Old school.
Old school. So the Palestinian youth movement. I mean, a lot of people have actually reported on this, including corporate media. Of course, they're not reporting on it the way that alternative media is. But this insider trading thing, this like literally just seemingly waging war to make you and your disgusting psychopathic friends a bunch of cash. So this past Monday, 14 minutes before Trump released a statement on Truth Social lying about these discussions between the U.S. and Iran.
And I have more on that in a second. But go ahead.
Someone purchased $1.5 billion worth of futures contracts and sold $192 million in oil futures on the stock market. So a few minutes later, when the stock market jumped to over $2 trillion in value, which also caused the price of oil to decrease. 27 minutes later, when Iran was like, "You're a lying son of a bitch," the value of the stock market dropped by over $1 trillion.
So someone on the inside is playing Trump's, knows what Trump's going to say, and is playing those to make a lot of money. And anyway, here's a great rundown of Trump's recent press conference, and in terms of what people believe is about to happen in Iran, those people listening to Trump. 12:03, so he starts the press conference at noon. 12:03, Trump tells reporters he wants a ceasefire. 12:05, Trump declares victory over Iran. 12:07, Trump announces we're sending in Marines. 12:08, he says no boots on the ground. 12:11, says we don't want a ceasefire. 12:16, declares victory again. 12:17, says he'd like a ceasefire. 12:29, says Iran is begging for a ceasefire. 12:36, says $500 a barrel for oil is a good thing. 12:37, demands Iran open the Strait of Hormuz. 12:41, says U.S. is not at war. 12:42, declares victory over Iran.
The other thing, that is an amazing 40 minutes, by the way. How remarkable. The other thing that I think is important to note is that the Trump, this is like just the latest, this past Monday was just the latest in several speeches that coincide with the opening and closing times of the stock market. So aggressive statements that threaten escalation against Iran are typically made on weekends or after hours when the markets are closed, so they can't respond. Right. On Monday mornings, like this amazing speech that Lee just shared some snippets of, that was on a Monday before the markets open, so that when they do open, oh my God, it's just like this slew of wahoo.
Well, it wasn't before the markets open, but yes, it was on a Monday.
Sorry, at noon, when the markets are open, I should have said. So this is strategic, right? And this is not the only time that they've fabricated diplomacy. For instance, last Friday, so a week ago today, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent claimed the U.S. would lift sanctions on 140 million barrels of Iranian oil already in tankers in order to encourage purchases of oil futures and to ease oil prices globally. Iran's oil ministry just quickly disproved the existence of the 140 million barrels. And this was just, again, exposed as another lie being deployed strategically to manipulate markets. So this is not just a war for the usual reasons. This is like a war. It's a greed. The word that I've heard used a few times is greedflation, or warflation. And I mean, yeah, just when you think people can't get any more psychopathic, they seem to one up them.
Well, and also, what level of dystopia is it to be betting on, war, to be betting on I bet that this many people will die. I bet you people will be blown up until Monday. No, I bet you people will be blown up until Thursday. Oh, look how much money I made because I bet the right day that we were going to keep blowing people up. It is so fucking incredibly dystopian and horrific. Mm-hmm. And that's the point we're at. You could see people making these jokes, and a day's going to come when people gamble on what's going to happen in a war.
Yeah. So again, that post was by Palestinian Youth Movement. Since I can't show you the screen, you can go to their Instagram page.
Some people are listening to the podcast, and if you are, we're totally, the visuals for this episode are incredible. we're killing it.
Groundbreaking. Okay. Well, look, everybody, we're coming to you from a dystopian subway bunker. How do you expect us to have the technology now in this new apocalyptic era of getting you these screenshots? Okay.
This background represents my mood right now.
Well, there would have to be a fire as well.
That's true. A dumpster fire, to be exact.
A dumpster fire. Okay. Well, where should we go next? Where would you like to go next?
You're the leader. Okay. You're driving the boat ship.
I'm driving the boat ship. Okay. Well, since we're talking about Iran, I might as well share some updates about this this war. Um, Iran has reported 241 students and teachers killed, 644 schools damaged since the war began. And the Pentagon, meanwhile, says that 290 U.S. troops have been wounded, 13 killed.
I made a lot of money by betting how many schools we were going to bomb.
I'm sure that you can do that.
I did a good job on predicting that.
Would not even be surprised that you can do that. The death toll in Iran has reached at least 1,500, with more than 18,500 injured. According to Iran's health ministry, at least 66 children under the age of 5 have been killed so far. So again, just like we saw with Gaza, if you don't stop a genocider, they are not going to stop themselves. They will keep going.
When being led by a psychopath, yeah, there's nothing. They have to be stopped. They don't. A psychopath doesn't go, oh, I suddenly grew concern for my victims. It's just I must have had a different kind of soup yesterday, and now I give a shit that I'm murdering people. That's not how a psychopath works. They need to be stopped. Well, two correlated things. One is in terms of be stopped. We could use that tangent to talk about how the No Kings rally is not going to stop him. Sure. Also, before we move beyond Iran as a topic, you can play the clip from my debate because that's about.
I can't show it
because it's about Iran. Oh Jesus!
But they can hear you talk.
Never mind. Fuck it. Do it live.
Does that mean I play the audio? I don't know what that means.
I'm just gonna keep clicking share screen and just more and more angrily each time. Oh. How about not always block? Where's that option? The browser can't access your screen. Does anybody have an answer to this? Okay,
I think it's in like a system preferences thing, but I'd have to go digging for it, and then everyone's just sitting here watching me go like this on my screen. So it's like it makes more sense.
Well, yes, agreed. How about though? You talk about No Kings for a second, and then when it's my turn to rant about No Kings, you look for a second for that system preference.
Fair. So I just posted about this on my Instagram. If folks are curious, it's like a 2-minute video.
So there's another one tomorrow, right? Okay.
Yeah. You can check it out at my Instagram at Radical Eleanor. It's like 2 minutes, so not a lot of your time. But first of all, we're protesting a thing we don't have. Like, of all the problems that we do have, we're protesting a thing we don't have, which is a king.
Well, I think it's meant to be.
What we do have is actually far more dangerous than a king. We have a corporatocracy. We have a oligarchical dictatorship, a fascistic, white supremacist, colonialist, capitalist regime. I would compare that to, what, like even Sweden has a king. Can we compare?
It doesn't do
but
shit
that's my
all.
Point is like we are making this framing about monarch, and I get what you're gonna say is that like, oh, it makes it, this is what we fought the revolution. Actually, that's not what we fought the revolution over. If you are to read a more grassroots perspective on the history of the U.S.
Yeah, it was really a bunch of rich dicks that wanted to be a little richer.
And continue to own slaves.
And continue to own slaves.
So really, like, the king was never the problem. It's still not a problem. So why the fuck are we having a massive march against a thing we don't have? We have so many problems, y'all. Why? Okay? And the reason I'm fetching about that is because it takes the framing of the problems that we do have and goes, ooh, shiny, shiny, look over here. And we don't need that shit right now. We have to focus on the shit that we actually have to address. The other problem that I have with it, and I wrote a Substack about this more than a year ago, it's not a march, it's a parade. And that's fine. But going to a parade to address fascism is like going to a concert to address your abusive relationship. It might make you feel better. It doesn't do fuck all to address it, okay? And again, go bring your kids, bring your fucking dog, bring a Frisbee, whatever. But it is as helpful as going to the park with your dog and your kid and having some goddamn lemonade. And again, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. And if it brings some people out to start asking questions, cool. I'm of the mind that there's nuance. So
a lemonade stand might bring some people out.
There you go. Questions. I'm of a nuanced mind. So like, if you want to go, that's fine. What pisses me off is the amount of energy people are putting into this. People are funneling their well-deserved rage into this and letting that be a release valve, when in fact, it's not going to stop anybody from being kidnapped and disappeared tomorrow. It's not going to stop children from being tortured in our concentration camps or concentration camps in occupied Palestine. And this is not to say that every tactic has to immediately open the prison gates, but they have to be working towards something. They need to be looking at the analysis of a tactic. Am I shutting something down? Am I blocking something? Am I throwing wrenches into the gears of the system? Delta took away the special services desk for Congress. The next fucking day, they voted unanimously to fund TSA. This is the shit I'm talking about. When you actually inconvenience the powers, then they will move shit along. And that's the thing. To quote a dear friend of mine, Matthew Ho, when he worked at the State Department in the lead up to the second Iraq War, and he said he got asked a lot by people, oh my gosh, what were you guys saying about the marches against the war in Iraq? And he said, we weren't. Nobody gave a shit. They don't fucking care about you and your sign and your cute little stroller with a No Kings sign on it. Like, nobody fucking cares.
Okay, before you take every talking point, you have to let me talk about it too.
Well, you're the one who told me to get out of my goddamn soapbox.
Well, I know I wanted you on the soapbox, but I didn't know you were to like strategically go through everything that could ever be said about the goddamn No Kings March. All right, now you spend 1 minute. You only have 1 minute because you took all my talking points. But yes, as Eleanor said, if you aren't interrupting business as usual, then it doesn't matter. But let's ignore the title, okay? I know you don't like the Kings thing. To me, that's the lowest of the points. Let's say it was called No Trump Rally, okay? Let's say it was a Screw Trump rally. To me, and okay, we do have a Trump, and we do want him out or whatever. Or we do want him to be abandoned on an island with 3 days worth of food. But unless there is organizing involved, unless these are people getting together, figuring out how to do the things that Eleanor mentioned, how to interrupt business as usual, how to stop the machinery from running, then it doesn't really matter. As we've said many times about other protests or they're really parades, but as we've said many times, I think it can be a little useful for children to understand that you should get angry about these things. I think it could be a little useful if people do use the event for organizing, if people do get together and work towards something that is more substantial. Okay, then you might have a little bit of positive out of these events. But outside of that, it is, at best, it's kind of does nothing. And at worst, it's a release valve. At worst, it is a million people or more getting together saying, I did something to stop Trump. I came out on that day with my poster and I did something. When in fact, they would be doing more by like a BDS equivalent, by saying we're not going to buy certain things like weapons contractors. We're not going to buy tickets from airlines that use Boeing because screw Boeing. Like, you could do more with that, even though it won't seem like it because you aren't out with a million people. But these things act as a release valve, and then the anger is dissipated. And as Eleanor said, it's not impacting anything. There were a million people outside the White House. How much did that change Trump's opinion or movements? Or it doesn't have an impact.
Yeah. So spend that time, like, the organizing that needs to happen is the kind of organizing that is not Instagram worthy, right? It's the kind of organizing where you're doing Know Your Rights trainings and you're training people to do ICE Watch, where you're talking about democratizing your workplace and doing strikes, where you're talking about direct action, right? Direct action doesn't ask permission. The amount of permits that people are getting to do these parades, interacting with the protectors and the servants of the architects of our oppression, it's like, give me a goddamn break. So Yeah. It doesn't do shit, but like go to your parade and have fun, but please don't put a lot of energy into it. The same way you're not putting a lot of energy into going to a picnic. Okay. I don't know how to fucking share the screen. So like we're still in the same spot that we were before, but I feel like we're vibing here. You know, don't you feel like we're having
this feels
better
it feels
connection?
very intimate,
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
We're having this intimate
It's-
moment in our subway bunker, y'all. Okay.
it feels very community access.
You know what, Lane? I'm fine with that. Okay. So, speaking of,
we can make this more exciting by putting comments over my face.
I know how I feel. Okay. Today is just the day that Lee gets to feel like to be Eleanor for a day. He might even scoot later, everybody.
I can hide behind the comments here.
Does that make you feel better? Okay, so the National Priorities Project does great work of highlighting things that we could have had if we didn't spend it on the dumb shit that we spend it on. And this is just they did a post a few days ago that just speaks to $170 billion worth of mass deportations and detention, and some of the things that they highlighted that could pay for. Medicaid for 6 million children and 4 million adults for 4 years.
So you're saying the money we've spent on mass deportation would have covered, you just left the screen, but
I'm sorry.
Would have covered 6 million. Now you know how I feel. Would have covered 6 million children and 4 million adults. Would have covered their Medicare, because Medicaid is their Medicaid.
Their healthcare, basically.
Their healthcare.
Yeah.
So healthcare for 6 million children and 4 million adults. Instead, we spent it on black bagging innocent people.
Yes.
Good to know.
And of course, there is no access to even an anemic amount of healthcare in these concentration camps. So not only you're not spending money on healthcare, you're actually ensuring people that didn't have very much access to it in the first place, because the majority of the people that are being disappeared are poor. You're actually giving them even less access to it. It could have also paid for 18.7 million people accessing SNAP food. So, but you know what? People don't need to eat. Oh, for 4 years. I'm sorry.
For 4 years.
Ha!
What used to be called food stamps. Yeah. 18.7 million could have had food for 4 years. Instead, we spent 170 billion on mass deportations.
Could also have paid for 400,000 livable wage jobs for 4 years. That is astronomical at a time when the majority of people in this country can't afford a $500 emergency. So, yeah. And again, the National Priorities Project does this kind of work all the time of highlighting, like, this is what we could have done instead. Meanwhile, we shared this either like a couple weeks ago. I don't know. Time is weird. But there's it's called Iran-cost-ticker.com. And it's a ticker that is like in real time based on the estimated U.S. taxpayer spending according to the Pentagon. And we're already at $32.9 billion.
Just on Iran.
Just on Iran. So we were just talking about 170 billion for disappearing people and deporting them. This is $32 billion, which is a percent of 170. You like that? And just imagine what that could pay for on top of the 170 billion. And also, of course, the Pentagon has already asked for another $200 billion, which is more than $170 billion.
Well done. It's $41.6 million an hour we're spending on bombing children in Iran.
Money well spent. Speaking of the Pentagon, I don't actually I say this all the time, but like what the fuck does the Onion even do anymore? Like, how do you make satire?
It's why I retired. It's why I retired from the Onion. I used to write for the Onion, and then I was like, I can't do it anymore.
Like, this is just way stranger than fiction. So
this is a headline from The Intercept.
It says Pentagon implores civilian workers to join ICE volunteer force. I am so not kidding.
The ICE Volunteer Corps.
Yeah. The Pentagon put out a call to its civilian employees to volunteer with DHS, because this whole funding thing is still at a bit of a fisticuffs, perhaps. An email dated on Thursday compares immigration enforcement to fighting wildfires.
Yep, dude. Immigrants are just
No
like
notes.
wildfires. I've
notes.
been saying this for so long. It's like, just like there'll be like one immigrant in a neighborhood, and then it just expands, and all of a sudden the whole place is up in immigrants.
Yeah, they let out little what is it? Little
Embers.
yeah, embers.
Mhm.
Immigrant embers. That's how that works.
Yep, embers spelled I-M.
Embers.
Yeah.
So the oh God, I can't even. Basically they're asking people to volunteer to be like these fascist
Volunteer to be a fascist. Come down on the weekend, bring your family, join fascism.
Yeah, so this is actually a re-up. The DHS has already asked for volunteers last August. The deputy
Do
assistant.
you get a sticker or something to wear?
I think you get
like a special hat?
badge.
Oh, it's like it's a plus sign doing cartwheels. It's on your sleeve.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it looks just like that.
It's like a little bit of flair.
A little bit of flair.
A little bit of flair.
Yep.
So this last email in
I
August.
said, do you get a sticker? Yes, you get a SWAT sticker.
That's okay. But the joke here is that that's literally what his mother calls a swastika.
My mother, despite being Jewish, has never figured out the word swastika and still thinks it's a SWAT sticker.
Which sounds to me like a pot sticker, like some kind
Yeah,
of
no,
like,
it's very pot sticker adjacent. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
like some kind
Yeah.
of like Friday night meal that you share with your
But
friends.
so I asked, when you join the ICE Corps, do you get a sticker? Yes, you get a SWAT sticker.
Yay, you finally found a good spot for your mom's inability to say that word. But yeah, so this email that was sent out in August says this is a national security problem, and our civilians have the critical skills sets to support DHS and their mission. We're proud that our civilians are already willing to sign up. The Pentagon claims that 900 people had expressed interest. Now, we've covered
900, like across the nation.
900.
That's like, you could have more than 900 people express interest in pickled pig's balls. Like that's nothing. That's amazing. 900 people.
Okay, that's not fair though. That's like the national dish of Scotland.
Oh, dig it, Scotland. Take that, Scotland.
Come on. Anybody who's had the misfortune of eating haggis is gonna be
just
with me on
lost
this.
all our Scottish fans right there.
Okay, look. I come from a place that ferments herring, so like I get it, but like,
I think you said for men's herring. So I was like, I don't know what men's herring is.
So we've already covered on this show like how much bullshit the whole training argument is, because ICE agents are already trained. For instance, the guy who murdered Renee Good had
By
been trained.
by training argument, you mean that they need to be trained better.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Had been trained like more than your average ICE agent, but still shot her at point blank range when there was no threat to his person. So that argument is typically some bullshit. And yet the issue here is that you're going to just ask anybody, you're going to give them like a gun and the ability to black bag people and disappear them with absolutely no accountability. Not only no accountability the way that ICE has, but they're not even connected to they're not even on a payroll. They're a volunteer. Like when you go volunteer to soup kitchen, like that level of accountability, that level of training or connection to any kind of of understanding of this role.
And one's got to figure that some of them will be armed, because I can't picture our present day DHS or Pentagon being like, "Don't you dare bring your gun along."
Yeah. So this is I'd say it's not shocking at all, but it's pretty grotesque. So we'll see what happens with that, but I wouldn't expect ICE to slow down their fascistic tendencies.
Come on. Yeah, it really is the Onion. Come on down on the weekends to help us beat some immigrants. It's got to be fun for the whole family. If you ever wondered whether the United States is pushing like just a psychopath future, it's like, join the psychopaths. We have no morality or ethics. We don't care who we harm, and you can be one of us. Yeah, wonderful.
So here you go. The memo sent out Thursday claimed that more than 900 people had submitted applications so far.
900 is such a pathetic number, dude. It is so wildly pathetic. Like,
that's up from 200.
The number of rednecks that you would think would sign up for this shit would be in the hundreds of thousands, but nobody wants to be connected with ICE.
So a list of potential volunteer duties include data entry, operational support, which is very vague, assisting ICE and CBP with managing the flow of detainees. The way that that's fucking phrased, the flow of detainees, as if it's just like water in a mill.
Yeah.
And of course,
and logistical planning. Could you imagine you bring in a volunteer ICE lunatic to do your logistical planning? Hey, can you help us plan how to violate the rights of these people?
Yeah. And of course, some people might be wondering, wait, you said the Pentagon? Yes, the Pentagon and DHS, which are not the same agency, obviously. This is basically that blurring of lines, I should say. In an appropriately rapey way, the blurring of lines between the Pentagon and DHS, which, I think it's important to note that we've always had, like, every war that America has fought on foreign territory has also always been a war turned inwards.
Can we actually highlight a comment? Hey, something worked.
Thank you, so Citizen Pendejo. I love your name, by the way.
Pendejo. It's the first thing that's worked today.
So, where was I? Sorry. Oh, yes. The blurring of the lines between the Pentagon and DHS. Obviously, this is an escalation that we haven't seen. But
now, are you going to play the blurred line song?
But like, basically, that we've always had a military force turned inwards, and it's important to recognize that that history. I just want to highlight this comment because I think it shows an important aspect. We have to talk about right-wing ideology in the Hispanic community, with them willingly signing up for ICE. You always see this, like in the pictures of ICE at airports assisting TSA, you see people who are not white. You see Black folks, you see yep. So this is nothing new. And it is a very, very twisted and long-standing psychological horror show that shows up throughout the history, not just of the United States, but really any oppressive regime. And you also see, like, I read a story the other day that the same day that a man was kidnapped by ICE, his daughter was deployed to fight the Iran war. So, even if it's just folks signing up for the U.S. military, understanding that there is, of course, a very strong economic draft and reason for doing that to just have things like, healthcare or education. But this, like, either forced through economic force or otherwise, this force of like entwining the oppressed with the architecture of their oppression is a long-standing U.S. Tenet. Thanks for the
thank you, Dan. Goddamn right. Super chats.
Still not gonna work. Indiana, let it go. Okay.
Hold on. Stop with the cursor. Thank you, Dan, for supporting the show. Appreciate it.
And thank you,
Barbarossa.
Yep.
For supporting the show.
So,
I feel like we're getting more super chats. Pity super chats. Like this has been such a shit show that we're getting more super chats than normal. People are like, you can do it.
Oh, see, okay. So you know what? I'm fine with that. I'll take the pity.
I'm cursing against every tech issue.
I'll take the pity tips.
Like, throw in some money to calm Lee down.
It's all right. I'll take the pity tips. I'm not above it. Oh yeah, and people are talking about the draft coming back also because they raised the age to like 42 or something for the age that you can enlist. And Hegseth also released a video saying that the mandatory time that you sign up for is no longer 4 years, it's 2 years. So they're like desperately trying to find people to go die for
and
this.
they got rid of like we're not going to take you if you have a prior record a while ago. I think it was like,
well, because what better place to put you?
It's like, oh, you're unhinged? Welcome. We are your people.
And at the same time, apparently there's been mutterings inside the U.S. Inside the Israeli military that it's collapsing from within because they don't have enough reservists. They haven't been able to get the Orthodox to force them to basically serve because there's a long-standing.
Don't use the term serve.
Sorry.
Be in the military.
Be in the military. Well, yeah.
I mean, I guess they're
serving their fascistic goals,
serving genocide, serving.
It's like I say, the police do protect and serve. They protect and serve the architects of our oppression. But yes, I see your point. So there's a long-standing rule that Orthodox in Israel don't need to be in the military, and now they're trying to get rid of that. They've been trying for quite some time. So that is. I'd say that's good news, but also I think we should not get too rah-rah about Israel's ability to continue this war because they are backed by the largest empire the world's ever seen. So
you mean too rah-rah about the idea that they're going to collapse.
Yeah.
Like we need to understand that when you're backed by yeah.
And this is something that I've talked about on the Project Censored show with Dr. Shir Haver, and I have him on next week. So on Monday, if you want to check that show out, I'll be speaking to him about the war in Iran and his perspective on what the actual aims and goals of that war are. But he's talked about this too, that Israel's economy is a zombie economy. It's running on nothing.
Dude.
And yet it keeps going.
Tourism used to be a massive aspect of their economy, and it's just gone. Obviously, you have hundreds of thousands of Israelis fleeing the country because they all have double citizenship, so they're all going to Europe and the United States and elsewhere. But yeah, the Israeli economy is non-existent. It's just propped up by the U.S.
Yeah. And of course, and I also noted in my recent Substack post that the Center on Conscience and War, which is actually directed by a friend of ours, Mike Preisner, has reported a nearly 1,000% increase in their calls by active military looking to file conscientious objector claims. That's amazing. And if anybody listening to this show right now is active military and is interested in this, you can check out the Center on Conscience and War. They are on Instagram. About Face also has those resources listed. But that's an amazing uptick. And, there are lots of different reasons for this. Some of them might be moral reasons. Some of them might also just be that these are people who understand what war means.
I think
also just the fact that war with Iran would be catastrophic, not just in terms of Iran's size and topography, if you look at the layout of, for instance, the mountainous regions in Iran, but also in terms of their military readiness. They've got almost 1 million soldiers who have been trained on the U.S. creation of ISIS.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, because a lot of these people in the military are right wing. So it's not like, I don't think it's that so many of these conscientious objectors are like, I don't want to hurt others. There's some of that, but I think a lot of them, there's a lot of right wing sentiment that like, why is the United States doing this? Like there are these right wingers like Tucker Carlson that fucking love the USA all day long, but they don't want to be involved in bombing Iran because they don't think it's going to help the U.S. empire, which is accurate in all the ways. I'm open to people hating this war for so many reasons. Any
Well, it's
reason
like
you can come up with.
It's like that guy, I can't remember his name because I'm shit with names, but the guy who stepped down because he was like the head of
Kent.
Yeah.
Last name Kent.
He stepped down and
he was
in an interview with Tucker Carlson, he says, "Look, I don't like Iran. I don't like Iranians." And I'm like, how can you just say that about millions of human beings? Like, piece of shit. Like, this is not a good guy.
And I tore apart Tucker Carlson for also mainly I was tearing apart Huckabee for being pro-Israel. But in that same clip, Tucker Carlson goes, "Look, I don't like Iran, and if bombing Iran makes my country stronger and richer, then fine. But that's not what's going to happen." And I'm like, if it makes us stronger and richer, kill children? Yeah. The fuck? Yep. So these people are not good people. Yeah. They're minimum sociopaths. But be against the war for whatever reason you got to come up with.
Yeah. And that's not to say that all of these folks that are calling in as conscientious objectors are at the level of like Huckabee, but just pointing out that there are many reasons that somebody might be against this war. And going across the pond here, because I think it's important to highlight this for a few reasons. The European Parliament has voted in favor of ICE-style deportations and offshore detentions. And this is important because, first of all, it shows a global rise of this kind of this fascism. Also because the Mediterranean crossing into Europe is, in fact, one of, if not the deadliest migratory routes for migrants in the world, and has already cost countless lives because of Europe's unwillingness to accept migrants from the global south, while continuing, of course, this kind of policy that is in line with the US that creates migrants, right? So you create and we've talked about this before, you create the conditions that make it impossible to stay where someone is in the global south, and then you make it impossible for them to leave. What the fuck? Like, you can't have both.
Or you imprison them, like you.
Right.
So we blew up your country, Venezuela. We've done plenty of harm to Mexico and Haiti and Cuba. And then if any of those people make it to the border, we're like, fuck you. We're gonna try and kill you. We'll put you in prison. We'll do what we can do to destroy your life.
And this also ties into Israel, because it doesn't like everything bad comes back to Israel. It's like a fucking bad penny. Because as part of these ICE-style deportations is also a ramping up of surveillance. So racial profiling, indefinite detention, including of children and families. And so part of this is using technology, AI-driven technology that has been used in the West Bank and Gaza, which are the literal testing grounds for this kind of technology, and to ramp those up in Europe in order to use them on these migrants. And actually, Yoav Gallant, back in 2013, Yoav Gallant is the former defense minister of Israel who's wanted by the ICJ. Back in 2013, he called...
Not for like a position there. Like they want to put him in prison.
Yeah. Back in 2013, he called the European Union... This might be the only time that I've agreed with Yoav Gallant. He called the European Union hypocrites because he said, you verbally attack us. You show disdain for what we're doing in Gaza. This was 2013, by the way. And yet you buy all of our technology to use on your own people. And this is a very common thing. Like, you see this a lot with countries, like France, Macron being like, look, we're going to recognize a Palestinian state. And then they're sending weaponry to Israel. It's like, you're recognizing a state that you're helping to eradicate. Like, what the fuck does that? So this kind of hypocrisy, it has always been how the EU kind of moves with, especially the global south that's most close to them along the Mediterranean, which of course includes occupied Palestine.
I have another time you agree with Yoav Gallant.
Oh shit! What?
He was the quote unquote defense minister during October 7th, and he said they used the Hannibal Directive.
Oh yeah, well.
He said they blew up Israelis. So
he's just like admitting a thing that happened.
Oh yeah, he's just admitting a thing that happened. I didn't mean you were like high five and hug him, but yeah.
Never.
He's just saying like, yeah, we used the Hannibal Directive. He said we probably should have used it more.
Yeah. So So this is opening the door also to quote unquote investigative measures, which we see at play here, that give police powers to raid homes, shelters, workplaces, and hospitals, as well as seize electronic devices. So again, ICE style tactics, right? Just like barging into people's homes and places of work, schools, hospitals. Yep. So this is taking, and again, the EU has a tendency to take the worst ideas that the US has and be like, I see what you did there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that and do that here.
Like a buffet of awful.
Yeah, truly.
Like the buffet at a Denny's.
But okay. Yeah, so I think it's important to note that, because the ideas that happen here, that happen in Israel, they never stay there, and I think it's really important to note that. But coming back to the home front here, I think this is like, oh God. Okay, so a recent report published by the Cato Institute found that the State Department and DHS are basically committing fraud to the tune of $1 billion by receiving millions of applications from immigrants whom Trump already made ineligible for legal status, but they pocket the fees anyway without ever processing the requests.
So basically, they take the money and
they take the money knowing that they're not going to even like look at your application. They're wiping their ass with the application and taking the money and being like, thank you. And people are calling this like the largest fraud in the history of the U.S. immigration system, which, if you know anything about U.S. immigration history, is pretty like that's no small feat. But so this is just the latest in, of course, a long string of.
And what's the amount?
$1 billion.
Or billions?
More than $1 billion.
More than $1 billion.
Yeah. So yeah, no notes. Well done, guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to send money to the U.S. government for any reason, they'll take it. They're willing to take it from you. They're not necessarily going to do anything you thought the money was helping you do.
They probably won't.
But they'll collect the money.
And of course, they're not going to tell you that they're not going to process your paperwork. They'll just not do it. There's also, relatedly, there was also a report by ProPublica this past week that showed that basically in the first 7 months of Trump's second term, authorities arrested and detained parents of at least 11,000 U.S. citizen children, a number that, if the pace held up, will have roughly doubled by now. That's an average of more than 50 U.S. citizen children a day with a parent disappeared into detention.
So I mean, this isn't, maybe the numbers will shock people, but the idea that is not shocking now, that they're ripping parents away from U.S. citizen children. Mm-hmm. So this isn't, I think a lot of people have this idea that the immigrants whose lives are being destroyed are all undocumented, all didn't come into the country the proper way. They didn't do the proper paperwork. They don't deserve to be here. But no, you have hundreds of thousands of U.S. citizens that have their lives destroyed in one way or another. Some of them are arrested because they're accused of not being citizens. Others say their parents are ripped away from them. Their kids are ripped away. So there's so many ways that these are U.S. citizens having their lives destroyed a lot of the time. Yeah.
And of course, and I don't think ProPublica is making this point that that's the important thing, that they're U.S. citizens. Of course, this number is way higher if you just look at children in general. We should not be ripping families apart regardless of their paperwork status, right? It's fucking absurd. Oh, you don't have the right paper. Really? You're going to ruin a person's life because of a piece of fucking paper? Which, of course, is how this whole system works, right? But I think, again, to your point, the reason that I think ProPublica is highlighting this specific thing is because it totally goes against this idea that we're only going after the people who came in here illegally and don't have any connection to the U.S. and
because even gushy liberals can get behind this, because a lot of them are like, well, look, you came in illegally, like a Bill Maher and shit. Mm-hmm. You came in illegally, it's on you. Well, these are citizens, and so I agree with you. You shouldn't destroy anybody's life doesn't matter if you have a certain kind of paperwork or not, but this helps get them on board. It's kind of like the how much money we spend on war. It helps people. It helps a lot of often liberals, or actually a lot of Republicans too, get behind the idea that we shouldn't be at war, that we shouldn't be bombing Iran. Look at all the money we're dumping away. When in fact, if you actually look into it, like, it's not like our tax dollars are taken and then allotted. We'll take your 10 tax dollars and we'll put it towards this missile here. Like, that is not how it works. The U.S. prints whatever the fuck it wants. But it does help get people angry about what's happening.
And again, don't funnel that anger into a parade. Okay.
Funnel it into a Molotov cocktail.
So I want to get to this because this is something that corporate media is not going to talk about at all. And it's important that, like, we not forget that we fucking kidnapped a sitting president and his first lady and disappeared them into a fucking prison in New York and then are staging a sham trial. Of course, I'm talking about Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, who appeared in court yesterday. For folks listening, we're recording this on March 22nd. So they appeared in court on the 26th. Now, all of this is fucking dumb. But what makes this even dumber is that they can't pay their lawyers because there are unilateral sanctions that block them from using Venezuelan government funds. So they're
also, he individually is sanctioned, like Maduro himself.
Right.
So he can't pay for anything.
So
he is the government.
As Ben Norton reports, they're going to lose competent legal representation and instead get a court-appointed nobody attorney who knows nothing about the case and can't adequately defend them. Moreover, CNN quotes a legal expert who admits that the U.S. regime's kidnapping of President Maduro was a clear violation of international law, but the U.S. judicial system doesn't care. What?
Well, you cannot, if you're a fascist empire, you cannot, and you kidnap a world leader, I don't think the world leader can expect to get a fair trial in front of these same judges that represent the fascist U.S. empire. There's not going, like, that is the definition of a show trial. This is just meant for some idiots to go, well, he got a trial.
Yeah. So the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control granted a license, but then revoked a license permitting the Venezuelan government to pay his legal fees. So, and this doesn't just violate international law, it actually it violates our laws. Again, this is like reminiscent of the whole Assange thing. Like, he either does or does not. Like, you can't have it both ways. So this is like, Maduro has a right to defend himself against the charges. And if he has the money to do so, he should be able to access that money. But you're stopping him from doing that to try to ensure that he has shit legal counsel, which is, again, just like compounding the illegalities, because you already kidnapped a sitting head of state and disappeared him into your court, which has no jurisdiction over him.
I know.
So it's like, it's all just bullshit. And Ben Norton points out that it's Kafkaesque. I mean, Kafka could not even like conceive of this like absolute bullshit. So basically, like, the Maduro and Celia Flores are still imprisoned, and the U.S. is still, kind of forcing Delcy Rodriguez in between this. She's the vice president that is now acting president of Venezuela, is still forcing her in between a rock and a hard place vis-a-vis like having to deal with the U.S. because you can't not deal with the U.S., right? And this is something that we see with like Claudia Sheinbaum as well, the president of Mexico. It's like, you have to deal with this horrendous piece of shit, Trump and his administration. And the amount of like political diplomacy and like the amount of kind of like tiptoeing around shit so you don't anger the dumb fuck beast that is Trump. It's like, I would never, ever want to trade positions with any of these people. Especially also because, there's not only that the aspect that the U.S. doesn't respect the global South, but they're also women, which we all know how Trump feels about women. So these are, again, like compounding issues and compounding injustices, compounding illegality, and it's exhausting.
Yeah. It's MC Escher painting of garbage. It'd be like if it was a painting of like shit that curled around back on itself, and you were like, I can't figure out where the shit starts and where it ends.
An
And-
Ouroboros of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. He's having a day.
I thought that was a great analogy.
No,
Why?
it
I
is.
give one great analogy, and you got shit on it.
Is that a little doubling down on the shit too much? Tripling down?
Do you have one final story in here?
Well, I do have. I mean, it's kind of good news that following waves of strikes, Starbucks has agreed to negotiate with union baristas. Basically, after thousands of workers engaged in the longest strike in Starbucks history, Starbucks is agreeing to sit down with them, and so we'll see what that includes. Their proposals. The SB Workers United has a proposal for $17 minimum wage floor nationwide, among other things. Now, this is a little bit of a nuanced issue. I mentioned this in my Substack because you should technically be boycotting Starbucks anyway because they're on the BDS list.
I know.
So,
Starbucks is one of the biggest supporters of Israel there are. But yes, I also support the workers.
Right. So this is one of those difficult intersections, right? Like a lot of people work for these horrible corporations that they do not love, but they realize that they have to have a job because food.
It's almost like capitalism and wage slavery are just like shit systems.
Yeah, almost.
I'm gonna think more on that.
You come back to us.
Yeah.
We'll discuss this next week. But I think this is also important because it highlights the power that workers have, and it can inspire others to organize in their workplaces. And as Professor Richard Wolff points out, we talk oftentimes about like how important it is to have a democracy, and yet the place where we're at, arguably for the most of our lives, our workplace is just accepted to not be democratic. And yet we're so proud of our quote unquote democracy and want to defend it. It's like, but you don't when it comes to the majority of your life. Like that doesn't fucking make any sense.
And my favorite thing, which I just went off on the other day, is all of this. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. It's not a democracy. You cannot have a democratic apartheid state. That's not a thing. That's like saying, oh, well, when the U.S. had slavery, we had democracy. No, you had slaves that didn't have a vote. That's not democracy, you idiots. Oh, God.
But I mean, this is what like the words lose their meaning, right? Democracy doesn't really have a meaning anymore. And though I argue like even back in the day when the Greeks were contemplating democracy, the argument was made then too that, well, who gets to choose who the demos, the people, are? So if that's the situation, then a democracy is always going to be flawed because somebody's always choosing who gets to be the people. And of course, in a state, the way that Israel is a state or the US is a state or, I don't know, the UK, whatever, it's the powers that be that get to decide who the people are, right? And who the others are. And the others is always a moving target, as well as the people who are considered to be the people, the citizens. That's always a very fluid line. So this concept of democracy is always going to be flawed because unless the people are choosing who the people are, it's that circular shit thing that you were talking about.
Oh, you get to use that analogy, but I use
I'm trying to yes and you.
No. You already poo-pooed it.
Really?
Get it?
Really?
See? And you don't like that one either.
No, I don't. I reserve the right to be picky about your jokes because I know.
Not today.
I know you.
Not with the day I'm having. For fuck's sake. All right, we're gonna wrap up here because it couldn't get any worse. It's actually,
my God!
We
don't
actually did.
say that.
We actually did very. I mean, Eleanor did 90% of it. Did a very good show for having no visuals.
But you have us. We are the visuals. Aren't these great visuals?
We're the beautiful visuals.
These are the visuals, and this dystopian subway bunker that we're all going to be living in soon.
Yes, you guys can join us in our subway bunker. Come on down. It's the corner of First and Avenue A.
Oh, Lee, somebody's going to go down there now.
All right, couple of quick things. There's no Unredacted tonight. Well, it didn't air last night because we're taking 2 weeks off. Hopefully I have a live stream Monday. Who the shit knows with all that's been going on with my tech problems and everything else. I probably will have one Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Also, if you feel like you got a 38 cents worth from this episode, even without the visuals, I hope you will join up at reallycamp.substack.com or Eleanor's Substack or many of the places you can support the show. Patreon.com/LeeCamp is another one. Eleanor's Patreon, Art Killing Apathy, right? Or is it? No, it's Patreon.
Just use eleanorgoldfield.substack.com. That's the place to go.
Okay, and we will also do another one of these in a week.
Keep fighting.
There you go.
Since we're all topsy-turvy.
Later, everybody.